you know in your heart of hearts you're doing what you think is best for the organization. Because guess what? If Joe Brady's not a good head coach, Brandon Beane is getting fired. Welcome to Fitz and Whit. I'm Fitz, that's Whit, and this is a Wave Original. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget, give us 5 stars. We deserve it. 5 stars, please.
Come on, baby.
Follow the show on social media at Fitz and Whit. That's Fitz, A-N-D, Whit. New episodes every week. We've been throwing some bonus episodes at you. Whit, the Super Bowl is set.
It is. Listen, Fitz, I'm trying to get over it, all right? Damn it, give me a minute. This episode is presented by Rotel and Velveeta. Coming up, we're going to recap the championship games. I'm going to try to mend my heart a little bit, and we'll get into some head coaching news. Joe Brady, Fitz. Come on, I got to hear what you're thinking. Ooh. There's a ton to talk about it, though. Listen, I'm ready to get right into it, Fitz, so let's go.
All right, let's do it. First, I got to tell you, I'm in Aruba right now. Beautiful.
Aruba, Jamaica. Aruba. Ooh, I want to take it to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Come on, that's my favorite song when I was a kid. Come on, man. I love that song. Kokomo,
Balashi.
baby.
Wait, you would love this. Balashi, little chill. They've got some mango magic, but all the beer bottles here are like 8 ounces. So you can have as many as you want, and it doesn't really count.
I like that. You know, because I'm usually just holding a beer and acting like I like to drink them. So that would be perfect. That'd be right up my alley.
There's a great photo of Andre the Giant holding a beer, and it just shows you like how big his hand actually was. That's what I feel like when I'm holding one of these Balashis.
Legend.
Liza and I had a tour around the island today. Insane. Like,
really?
So sick. It's only like 20 miles by 6 or 7 miles. So it's a pretty small island, but very cool. Anyway, we can get into some of that later because I do have a couple questions for you. We've got an interesting setup in the room, the hotel room I've got to ask you about. But
I don't know if we all want to know about that, but thanks.
Yeah, you do, though. You do. Trust me. You do. Anyway, do we have to talk about the Patriots and the Broncos game? Man. Like, the first half I thought was interesting. Obviously, the second half, the snow became a huge issue. We talked about the quarterback situation, Jarrett Stidham. I said it wasn't going to be that big of a deal. I thought early on he misses a quick screen that might have gone for a touchdown to Marvin Mims, and then he hit the big one over the top, which was awesome. He kind of was settling into the game, but if you look at that game, basically Denver and Jarrett Stidham made the big mistake and had the turnover, and New England just never did. So the only thing I really take out of that game is so happy for Mac Hollins, so happy for Mike Vrabel, 2 good buddies. And
Will Campbell, baby, 318. Let's go.
Your guy, Will Campbell.
How about being a rookie and going to the Super Bowl? Golly, that's awesome.
But I just – did Will Campbell win a national championship at LSU or no?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But most of these guys, they come from college and these great programs, and they think, gosh, this is going to happen every year. This is what it does. Yep. I hope Will Campbell knows and appreciates how damn hard it is to get to this thing because
that's funny you say that. Joseph Fada, who I came in with the LSU, same class, his rookie year was Indianapolis in 06 when they won the Super Bowl. And he used to always just be like, dude, I started off with a Super Bowl. This is miserable. Like, how do I get back there?
Well, you could tell me. I don't know. I don't have any advice for him there because I could never sniff it. But, I felt bad. I sent a tweet out this week. I've been not on Twitter as much, certainly not participating on Twitter as much, just kind of sending out stuff from our podcast or whatever. But every now and again, if I see something that deserves a retweet or a one-liner, when I saw that Dan Orlovsky wants to be the offensive coordinator for the Lions, I felt like I needed to jump in and say, well, I want to be, the GQ Man of the Year. The one the other day, it listed all the presidents, the universities, so the universities that had presidents of the United States, and that same university that had a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And
was LSU on the list or no?
LSU didn't make it. Joe Flacco and the Delaware Blue Hens made it. But I had to retweet it because I thought it was a great moment for me to just apologize to Harvard for not allowing them to be on that list. It's on me. I'm sorry.
That's a pretty good one.
Do it.
That's a good one. I like that.
I tried my best. Yeah, that's what
accountability.
I just couldn't pass it up.
Accountability, baby.
Now I want to hear about this Seahawks-Rams adventure that you had. How was the game?
Game was epic. You know what's funny? You're talking about the Patriots Broncos game and the snow hits, and you're just sitting there going like, man, what is going to happen in this game? You got a young quarterback. You got Stidham playing in the biggest moment of his life for the first time. And it's like nobody can do anything, nothing good happening, missing field goals, you name it. And we are sitting there, and it's crazy because you're in Seattle. I'm expecting it to be cold and rainy. It's 50 degrees. There's not a cloud in the sky. And we're all watching it on the Jumbotron because I'm sitting there at pregame hanging down on the field. And it was like unbelievable because you're sitting there thinking like, holy, like it should be bad weather here. It's beautiful here. And we're watching an absolute blizzard there in Denver. And so I'm down on the field, man. It was epic. Like at one point, Fitz, I'm running around joking with everybody. I'm like, man, I think we could strap up and put like a half decent team out on the field. I'm on the sideline. It's Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett, Howie Long, Strahan, Brady, Aaron Donald. We're all like sitting there kind of in a huddle talking. I'm like, man, we get a passer. Jesus. Dude, we get a couple more guys out here. It's about to go down out here. Some quarterbacks can get nervous. What a sick group. Like just kind of seeing those guys hang out, fellowship a little bit. Sherman's up. Sherman was he was playing it tough. He was on the other sideline, just kind of standing at the 50. Like wasn't walking over. I finally FaceTimed him and I was like, hey dude.
Did he big time you?
No, I just was like, he looked real serious. I didn't realize that he was doing like the pump up on the microphone once we all went in from pregame. So, he was locked in Sherm. So I sent him a FaceTime and I go, bro, come on, meet me at 50-yard line. Like, what are we doing? We're not playing in the game. So we literally, got out there, got a big hug, and then he came and hung out with all of us. And it was cool, man, to sit around in that circle with some absolute legends of the game that have done some great things. It's always fun when you get a chance to kind of circle up and talk a little ball and everybody's excitement level for that game. And did it deliver, man? I mean, when you think about Seahawks, Rams 3 times this year, any one of the 3 almost could be a Super Bowl in itself. I mean, absolutely unbelievable games. Heartbroken for the Rams, obviously tough ride home on the flight home with the team. You're distraught, your year comes to an end, but it's wild to me, Fitz, because you think about this team and, regardless, Seahawks moving on, awesome for them. Happy for their team, for Cooper Kupp, for Sam Darnold, especially. I mean, God, what a cool ending to see him go get this opportunity to play in a Super Bowl after everything he's been through. But man, on the flip side of it, when you're on that plane and you're riding home from the NFC Championship and you're just seeing a bunch of guys who are in that mode of feeling like you've done nothing, even though you've had this amazing year and you feel like it's all for nothing, right? I mean, think of the Rams season and what they accomplished, how dominant they were in parts of the year, really to get to that game, play a really good game against what I think the Seahawks are, another championship level team, and just not be able to get on the winning edge of it twice because of little things, right? I mean, special teams errors, just little mistakes where you think of it twice now. Special teams return for a touchdown in our Thursday night game and then muffing a punt and giving them a touchdown to start the second half. In this game, man, you got to be sick. But I want you to hear this, Fitz. Matthew Stafford. I think we can all agree Seattle Seahawks have proven they're the number 1 defense in the NFL, right there with the Houston Texans. If you want to say 1 and 2, but Seattle probably has lived up to the billing, right? Matthew Stafford in Seattle on the road. Massive game on Thursday Night Football, NFC Championship in Seattle. 831 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and you're 0-2.
Oh, man.
You're averaging 415 a game and 3 tutties, and you can't win. I mean, that is crazy.
Now, he played incredible, and lucky you to be at both of those games, man. Both the games in Seattle, absolutely epic. And, I mean, you got to say they beat them twice in the most important moments. So it's like Seattle's the best team in football, right?
And not only that, two Fits, and Sam Darnold stepped up in both those games and led crucial drives and moments. And I say that because, I think if anybody's questioning Seattle, they always are that's the first thing they do, right? Is question Sam, right? They're going to say, man, is he the guy? And in both those games, you've got to say that he made plays and created the opportunity for them to win those games because offensively they got dominated on the other side.
And the thing I go back to was Sam in our game in Arizona when we had them and Sam was on the desk. The thing that he talked about was Jackson Smith and Jigba and just how comfortable he was throwing the football to him, how smooth he is in and out of his routes. You can trust him. You always know what he's doing. And, man, that first that first half was pretty incredible, the performance that JSN and Sam Darnold put on. And then, I mean, Kubiak, he was in his bag a little bit too. You look at some of the touchdown passes that Sam had, the one to Bobo is a great throw by Sam, but it's all set up from the play call. That's fairly open in NFL terms. And then to put JSN in the backfield and run that combination where it's a post and a 7 route with that little spinner underneath to attract the underneath coverage and have a wide open JSN in the end zone. You got to give it up to Kubiak too for dialing up some of those plays, man. But Sam certainly has
Fitz, did you see
been on the
this?
short end of his stick. What?
I saw somebody posted that play and they go, "There's no doubt Cooper Kupp called this play." Like they're like this is one of those where you're like, Cooper Kupp for sure walked in there and goes, hey, I got one for you right here. Okay, here's the snap, because you look at his route in it and the detail to it and everything. Like, it was so funny. I saw somebody write that and I'm like, yeah, knowing Coop, like he probably did draw this one up. That's who he is. And outside of the travel home, was tough, but it was also special in some ways, because when you get a chance to kind of be around, I went and kind of hung out with some of the guys and just loved them up. And what a great year. There's so much to be proud of for them and the season they had. I mean, inevitably, we say this all the time. It's cliche, but every locker room says it. There's only one team that ends their season happy. And I know this because I flew home from a Super Bowl after losing, and it was miserable. And you don't take anything from that season. You really don't. Like, you're like, man, this season sucked and we didn't get anything out of it. Even though as fans and probably everybody else, they're so proud of you getting to that Super Bowl. As a player, that's just how you feel. And you feel like you failed no matter how far you get. And so I think that, you have to deal with those emotions and feelings. But, man, if you're a Ram, there's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot to be excited about. This is a great young roster. This division, I think, is still going to continue to be one of the best in football for years to come.
Yeah. And I kind of, in a sick way, I kind of miss that feeling too. I miss, you put in all that work together and you get to feel all that you accomplished throughout the season, and just the disappointment, but experiencing it together and knowing all that you went through throughout the year. It's also a special bond that you form. And even moments like that, like you talk about core memories and just, things that are highly emotional usually are the things that fit into those core memories in your life and help you out in many ways. And that's one of them. I didn't ever get the chance, obviously, to win a Super Bowl or leave victorious, but like those feelings at the end of the year of all the work that you put in and how proud you are of your teammates, those are great feelings too. And, hopefully they can take a few days and just make sure they reflect and remember that, because they did, man. I know you're really close with the team and close with Sean, but they played great. And
yeah, I don't know if you
Stafford,
saw Davante. Did you see Davante's post game? I mean, it just
no. What did he say?
As a fan of football, man, like if that doesn't break your heart, I didn't realize this. I talked to him on the flight home. He was 0-5 in NFC championships. He's never won one. He's been 0-5 in them though. And after the game, he just had a hard time even speaking when they were trying to ask him questions because he was so traumatized. But you're just like, it's a wild to me when you think as an NFL fan, like we love football. And like when I'm there with the Rams, obviously I love the Rams, but I'm also just a massive fan of football, like good football, right? And guys who play it the right way. And to think of a guy like Davante Adams and how elite he's been, how special of a football player he's been, played big in this game as well. Man, to be 0-5 and that opportunity that close to going to a Super Bowl and how much it means to them. It's like whenever you question these guys, like, hey man, they're getting paid this, X, Y, and Z, and you question their heart and you question what they're about and all these things. Like you see it all the time. People do it to all different players. When you see a moment like that, how much it means to a guy like that to be that close and not get there, man, it just makes you realize how special this game is, how special the men are that play it, how much they devote to it. Because they just feel like they can hardly speak. They're so distraught that they didn't accomplish something they were that close to doing. It just makes you fall in love all over again with just the game, the people who play it, what it's all about, man. It's the greatest sport in the world, man. And competitions like that, when you play the best of the best in those big moments, it was so cool just to be there, to get to feel some of that energy, but also know that I have zero chance of ever coming back to do it. You keep getting asked, like, oh, you think you could still play? No chance. Zero chance. Don't want to, but it's really cool to be this close to get to see these guys living in the moment.
Yeah, which goes back to what we said at the beginning of the show with Will Campbell. Appreciate it.
Oh my God! Don't take it for granted.
Watch that press conference that you're talking about with Davante Adams, and just know that like this, there's a lot of guys that don't get this opportunity in their career. So appreciate that you're there.
Super Bowl Sunday is just a couple weeks away, and you know what that means, Fitz. You need championship-level snacks, and it's not Sunday unless there's a Super Bowl of queso dip. Melissa Whitworth knows all too well nothing brings everyone together like good football and her queso dip. All you need are 2 ingredients to make a best-in-class, warm, creamy, delicious queso. Velveeta brings the creamy cheesiness, and Rotel is a blend of diced tomato and green chili that will bring the bold to your food. It's a crowd-pleasing recipe that everyone craves. To find your easy, delicious queso recipe, visit rotel.com. That's ROTEL.com. Fitz, let's move on to some big news. All right, I gotta hear about it.
So, first of all, my friends in Buffalo. I mean, I got the breaking news. Joe Brady gets hired. I got a little uneffing believable from somebody. I got some Benedict Arnolds. I got some zero interest in actually conducting a real head coaching search. How does this get you over the hump? It's like everything that the Bills fans are feeling from this. They sent me a poll from Joe Biscaglia. What's up, Skags? Do you like Joe Brady hire as new Bills coach? Yes, 4%. No, 79%. 17, I'm not sure yet. Good thing they sold all the PSLs. Like the whole deal, Whit. Oh, God. My chemo today is not going to be the worst thing that happens to me. Some Bills fans that are really upset about this. It's lazy, all kinds of stuff. So, oh, my goodness. I got another one. No disrespect to your son, Brady Fitzpatrick, but his last name is Brady, for God's sake. I got one of those. So what do you do? Yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't happy about it. So what did I do? I wanted to become a little more informed because I don't know Joe Brady at all other than, us watching him call plays. And I don't even know. Maybe I've met him and shook his hand once. I don't even remember. I don't know that we've ever had a conversation.
Tiger. Don't forget about that.
LSU Tiger, great.
Won a natty.
And what do I remember about him from the Bills? If you remember in 2023, Ken Dorsey was calling the plays.
Yep.
The Bills had lost 4 or 6 games. They're sitting at 5-5. Dorsey gets fired. Joe Brady comes in, and the offense has been in a much better place since then. If we think back to those days, they were dark.
Yep.
I think the other funny thing is if this happens last year, let's say, because those same Bills fans that are texting me have been frustrated with McDermott for a while with the performance in the playoffs. Will we ever get over the hump? If this happens last year and McDermott gets fired after the playoffs and Joe Brady gets hired as the head coach after guiding Josh Allen to an MVP season and having the number 2 offense in the league, are they as upset? I don't know. Maybe not. But I think it's important when you're looking at these, like we're so myopic and focused exactly in the times.
Yep.
Like let's all just kind of zoom out and get some perspective. So what did I do? I called Brandon Beane and actually texted him. And then we got on the phone together. Surprised that we were having the conversation, but Brandon's the guy over the years that, sorry, I just moved my computer, that I've been into, met with and talked to, and I'm always curious. And I think the feeling, as you've seen on the internet, after Sean McDermott was fired with the Bills was, why was Brandon Beane not fired? They are a package deal. He should have been gone. I didn't ask Brandon anything about that. I just said, dude, talk to me about this process. Talk to me about Joe Brady. Okay.
Yep.
And here's what he said. So the biggest thing that he was telling me was, in this process, a big part of it was we wanted a CEO. They weren't going to chase this guy that was a schemer. They weren't going to chase like this awesome play caller. They wanted a CEO. And I think you've talked about this before. Sean McVay, obviously we've talked about, wow, he can dial it up. He's a great schemer, but like that's what he is and that's what he's become as a CEO of this organization for the Rams. Vrabel's the same way. DeMeco Ryans is the same way. Dan Campbell's the same way. But those 3 guys are ex-players, right? And I think when he talks about CEO, I just wanted him to describe that a little bit more for me. Like, what does that mean? And he said a really big thing for him going into this, first of all, was they started at square one from Joe Brady. He assured me, because I asked some of the same questions that a lot of these fans are asking, like, so was this was what it was all along? Was this Joe Brady was the clear-cut guy? That's why we fired McDermott? He said, no. Honest to God, no. Joe Brady was just another candidate, and every candidate started at square one. So he assured me of that. So I said, okay, I feel good about that. But the biggest thing that he said was we wanted a guy that knows what makes players tick, a guy with high emotional intelligence. We didn't want the guy that would go lock himself away in his office when adversity hit and, start scheming up plays and doing all this cool stuff and drawing things up. Like, we wanted a guy that was going to have a great feel for the building. So that was some important things that they were talking about with who was going to come in next. And I feel like in this process, as coaching is getting younger, we've talked about this, and maybe this was the Mike McDaniel thing when he got hired by Miami, but there was a bad trend for a while of we got to hire the youngest, coolest offensive mind in football. And I think, aside from the Brandon Beane stuff, I think that the NFL is moving away from that a little bit. And I think guys like Vrabel, what we've seen is they are CEOs. They are guys that can get in front of a room. We talk about leader of men. We talk about guys that make the building better, have a good feeling for the pulse of the building. I think that was important for him to see in this process. I mean, have you heard or seen anything in terms of, and just talking to guys, like this movement, not that the youth movement is over with, but this movement getting away from the schemer, the play caller, to this more CEO, authoritative overseer?
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those things where probably a misperception. Like we talked about this a little bit, last week some, in that I think people perceived, like when Sean McVay got hired, like, oh man, this schemer, Kyle Shanahan, when he got hired, it's like, oh, they have great offensive schemes. But like when you talk to guys who play for them, like even talking to Sherm about Shanahan, you talk to me about Sean, like, or anybody who's played for Sean, like that's not what sticks out. You look how many defensive guys, whether it's Jalen, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, like you name the guys who come to defensive, like how special Sean is all the time. It's not that. It is the CEO role. Like I tell people all the time, I was blown away in 2017 when I came here as a 35-year-old. Here's the youngest head coach in NFL history. He's 30 years old. Our first month of team meetings did not have a damn thing to do with X's and O's. Everything was, here are the 4 pillars that we will be built on: character, communication, connection, like that, those things like that, like, You want to be, hey, these are the kind of men I want to play on my football team. And this is the kind of character that we're going to have every single day. And this is how we're going to treat each other. This is how we're going to spend time together. Like that's what's important. And so I think when we talk about CEO, I think it's really not just, oh man, they can tell everybody what to do. It's like, no, they're the kind of guy that when I say, hey, man, this is the dude I want to walk into any war with, any room with, like that's the dude I want to be around. When you're around Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, even Mike McDonald, we've been around him some, like they're the kind of dudes that you're like, yeah, that's the guy. Like I want to walk in that room with that guy. And I think that's what Mike McDonald's really solidified himself as here in Seattle this year. I look at the job he's done. Like let's go back after the Rams game, after Seattle had some of these slow starts. He said, like, hey, man, like he was not scared to say it. Like, listen, we've played great football. Like, we're starting too slow on offense. We got to relook at how we put together our first 15 plays. Was he calling out the OC? No, he's saying, like, as a team, like, we've got to look at how we're starting games. We have a good enough defense and special teams that offensively, if we just stop starting so slow, like, we're going to have better starts. And, like, they started to adjust how they called games early in games and adjust how they look at those first 15 plays, the beginning of games. Like, he's constantly looking for that. He calls it looking for that edge, but he's constantly doing that. And that's not scheme. That is how to win football games, how to lead men, to always be looking to sharpen their sword. Like we look across the league, like that to me, when you talk about Dan Campbell, when you talk about Vrabel, like they're not just looking for those edges. They're inspiring guys to want to be the kind of guys who are looking for those edges themselves. And not just waiting on their coach to tell them where to stand and what to say, right? Like this isn't ballet. Like we're not teaching an 8-year-old a dance. Like, hey, don't stand on this X and do X, Y, Z. Like we want you to have some ownership yourself And we want to raise you up to want to teach yourself. And not only do we tell you what to do, but we want you to be able to have input. When you name a Cooper Kupp, when you name a Stafford, when you name, like look at Lawrence the other day in the game. Like, dude, DeMarcus Lawrence in that game on 4th and 4, he was definitely not supposed to take the back. But what he saw was the back released on that 4th and 4 play in Seattle Rams game. He said, nobody's covering him. I'm dropping too. It was the James Harrison drop on my own, catch an interception, return it, play, right? He did that and he took it away. It was an easy touchdown. Like Sherman, he called me immediately. He goes, dude, like right after the game, he's like, they had him. They had him. It was over. They won. But DeMarcus Lawrence does his own deal, covers the back, and takes away the play. And that's the reality. You want guys that have ownership in what they do, and that's what these CEO-type head coaches do. They bring about that in their players. Yeah, and so it was actually cool just to have an open, transparent conversation with Brandon about like, okay, so CEO, what about Joe Brady screams CEO to you? And, I told you earlier, like sitting there assuring that like, look, everybody started at square one. One of the things he said was, we wanted to make sure everybody was on equal footing to start, because sometimes you have guys in organizations that will go on somewhere else and become a great head coach, and you didn't give them a fair shake or a fair look just because they were under the old regime. And he wanted to make sure that in that regard too, that like Joe Brady was going to get a fair shake just like everybody else. All right. So he told me that he learned a lot about Joe in the process. Joe has been an offensive coordinator. I talked to you about like his origin story of being the quarterback coach and then moving up to the OC. And, in terms of the offensive rankings and things, he's been pretty good in Buffalo. There's still some things. I share some frustration with the fans when you watch the offense. I want a little more complexity. I want to put a little bit more on Josh in terms of the mental side of it. I think there are things they can do there to still improve. But Joe Brady as this CEO. All right. So they're able to sit him down and ask him a lot of questions they've never heard him answer before. So simple things on like, how were you raised? Where were you raised? How would you run a team or an organization? So like really simple personal questions that some of it they probably knew, some of it they didn't, to his vision of what he would do. And then from there, I think they could get a lot more granular with like, okay, for this specific organization, for this specific team, like what do you see? What are our needs? What do we need to get better at? What is good? What's working well? And I think that he just wowed him in the process. And part of it was they know he's a great communicator. They know he's got high energy. But the thing you see about him all the time is he's steady, right? I mean, I think the days where we see these, Bill O'Brien, his early on in his coaching career, they used to call him the teapot, right? Because he would get so pissed and you see the steam coming out of his ears and then it would all just go kaboom. I don't think you really see that a whole lot anymore out of this new wave of coaches. And so I think that steadiness is something that's a good thing for these candidates. Yeah, I think that's an interesting point you bring up, like getting to know them on that level, because talking to some other guys, because I kind of reached out when this hiring cycle started. I love to do this. Like I've talked to Brandon Beane, I've talked to other guys, presidents of teams, because I like to reach out, even though I really have no skin in the game for any of this type stuff, and I'm not going to report it or do any of that. I'm not interested in that, but I like to just kind of get an idea of like how certain candidates interview and like what goes into that. And like, why wouldn't you, like when you see some of these young OCs, right, that are young, not even OCs, some of them haven't even called plays, that are interviewing for head coach jobs. I'm always like, when you say somebody got picked to interview for the offensive coordinator position, or they got picked to interview for the head coach position, is it that different? Like, how do you not know these things? And so to hear from the inside of those guys of like, no, like an OC interview is totally different. Extremely different. The entire time they're focused on scheme. They're not really getting asked culture questions. They're not getting asked things that have to do that, because think about it. The head coach is in charge of all that. They really don't have say in a lot of those type things, right? So they're just kind of getting an idea of how you teach, what your schemes are, like what you would do in certain situations, how you handle those situations, and situational master type stuff. And then also like the depth of where your scheme comes from and where you want to go with it and what you see their players doing that fits in your scheme, or maybe like how you would adjust to what they do well. Like, that's the kind of stuff they're talking about, and that's really it. And then when you get into head coaching, it's not a whole lot about the offensive scheme. It's more of, all right, if you're the dude in the room with the voice, this interview is built around, we're hiring a CEO. So if you're at a company, think of the difference in like hiring the CEO and somebody who's going to do sales. Like that, like it's that different of an interview. So that's really how it goes into it. And so when you're like, man, it, like the first thing it registered to me, and I'm sure it will to some fans, when you said, man, they got to ask him how he grew up and how he, I'm like, God, they don't ask him that all the time, but then you go, no, why would they? Because they're just talking about offensive schemes. So I think that's one of the most interesting parts to me of these hiring processes, is getting to know what those interviews are really like. And I think it'd be fun, Fitz. We'll have to get some GMs on here this offseason and talk a little bit about that. That'd be great to kind of hear the difference in those different meetings.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. And I think we've talked about this before too, like just being in a position of leadership. It's a lonely, lonely job. When you're
people don't talk to you, they don't want to say hey in the building. They're nervous. They stop conversations when you walk through. Like, you know, Sean tells me that all the time.
But I'm even just talking about like you're the final decision maker. So like Sean, the coach Sean, like the things that he does, like it's very much you win or you lose. And if you lose, you didn't do the right thing. And if you win, then you get celebrated and you pass it on to your players. And Sean does a great job of that. But the GM's the same thing. So it's like, how do you take the emotion out of these decisions? You got to be able to somehow take the emotion out. You can't be reading, you know, X all the time and what everybody else is saying. And like, you know, in your heart of hearts, you're doing what you think is best for the organization. Because guess what? If Joe Brady's not a good head coach, Brandon Beane is getting fired.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
I just feel like the easiest thing for Brandon Beane to have done was to not hire Joe Brady.
Right.
That would have made it a lot easier, because then
the splashy OC guy, everybody be like,
you don't know who it is.
He's swinging.
We got a young guy. We're bringing in some new blood. I get it, but he kind of had me convinced by the end how impressive Joe Brady was in these interviews, because that was the hardest of all the decisions, was to say, you know what? We just told you we're getting rid of Sean McDermott because we need a change. And now we're hiring the offensive coordinator who's been here the last few years. Yeah. So I think that's what took Bills fans by surprise. But I think he was surprised a little bit in the interviews at how impressive Joe Brady was, especially in that CEO role, with the entire vision of what he saw for the organization, his emotional intelligence, his ability to interact and be with everybody in the whole building, to have a great feel for the vibe of it. I think they've been pretty successful on offense. There do need to be some changes for sure. They're going to have to, unfortunately, Cromer, which is one of the guys we wouldn't have wanted to change and retired. So they're going to have to find a new offensive line coach. But it's not like we're starting like the New York Jets or the New York Giants. This isn't a complete teardown rebuild, right? We've got some pieces here. So I don't know. I was with a lot of Bills fans when I first heard the news. You know, I got a bunch of people texting me. I'm thinking, oh, somebody's got to help me figure this one out. But I did have the ability to sit and talk and listen and ask questions to Brandon Beane. And he was nice enough and gracious enough to give me his time. And by the end of the conversation, the answers that he gave me to all the questions that I had has me intrigued. It has me intrigued to see what Joe Brady, the head coach and CEO of the Buffalo Bills, is going to be like, what changes are now going to be made. But I think the important thing for all fans, when people make decisions, they don't make decisions that are going to win the Twitter wars. They're not thinking about today. They're not thinking about what the media is going to say about it. Yeah, you're doing what's best for what you think is what's best for the organization. And we're going to see next fall, right? This is going to be measured, this decision, by wins and losses, because guess what, Joe Brady? The expectation next year isn't going to be to get to the playoffs. It's only going up. And it's not going to be to win a game in the playoffs. It's going to be to win the Super Bowl. That's the goal, and that's the expectation for next year. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets.
It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market.
You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter.
Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it.
I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people.
Yeah, you're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S., download the Robinhood app now to begin.
Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. This segment is brought to you by Robinhood Prediction Markets.
Think about how much all those guys are screwed because of what Mike McDonald just did. I mean, you just flipped a team in a matter of absolutely no time. In 2 years.
What about Mike Vrabel? What about Mike Vrabel, who did it in 1 year?
Two guys right now that are in the Super Bowl, every coach and GM that's not on those two teams is going, we're screwed. This is now the new expectation. Vrabel comes in, he takes his first-year team to a Super Bowl. Mike McDonald comes in, and in 2 years, he's got the best defense in the league. Sam Darnold looks like the guy he originally was picked to be, like a really special football player. Like, man, it's like now the pressure and the stakes, they just got higher. And now, Joe Brady, you got Josh Allen, one of the best players on the planet. The expectations are not going to be, we hope to see some progress. They are going to be, we got to be playing in the Super Bowl next year. That's going to be the expectation. And to your point, Fitz, it's not about winning all those little wars. Like, I thought a great example to what you were saying when I was thinking about it was just when you get on there and you scroll some of the chaos that people are getting criticized for. Like, I looked at it and I'm laughing, like thinking of like, here's Sean McVay before he even turns 40 years old. All the success he's had, the NFC championships, the Super Bowls. You look at how many division championships he's won, winning as head coach in that age group. Like, already the Rams winning as head coach, like absolute legendary career. And he's just turned 40, right? And here we are after the game, people like, man, he messed this up. It's his fault they lost. Like, before the half, okay, Seattle gets the ball after the half. So you're saying they should just lay down and let Seattle take the lead after the half so they don't try to get points? And then, what'd they do? They gave Seattle the ball with 80 yards to go in 40 seconds. Like, that's his fault too? Like, okay, and then in the second half, he should kick the field goal and play defense. But the next tweet you wrote, the Rams defense was awful tonight. They're the reason they lost. So wait, so if he should kick the field goal, but the defense stinks, but then again, like, it's like none of this makes any rational sense. Like, you've lost your minds. Hell of a coach, hell of a season. You played the other best team in the NFL, in my opinion. And I'll say it right now, and I'll be wrong. People come after me. I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to win the game against the Patriots. That's what I think. We'll talk about it in our next pod, but I think the reality is those are the two best teams in the NFL, in my opinion.
I don't think there are too many people that are objective that watch championship weekend and would say that the Rams and the Seahawks were not the two best teams that played on championship weekend. I mean, and look, it wasn't a perfect weather. Kurt Warner was not happy about playing outside in snow and for that to decide the AFC. But I thought the same thing. I thought those two teams were the best two teams in championship weekend, hands down.
Yep.
You know what, Whit? It's a new year, and I'm going for a whole new me, but I'm having trouble staying motivated. So, Whit, you're always on me, but I got to start working on my habits a little bit.
I'm curious. What do you mean? Motivation
comes and goes, but habits show up. You taught me this, even when you don't feel like it. AG1 is the easiest habit that you can start now to support consistency, even when motivation isn't perfect.
Especially in February, Fitz, when January motivation dips and winter routines need a reset.
Most supplements overcomplicate things with tons of pills and confusing timing and impossible schedule to maintain long-term. AG1 simplifies your nutrition. Multivitamin, pre- and probiotics, superfoods, and antioxidants, all in one scoop.
One scoop sounds like an easy way to keep your health habits going all year long, Fitz.
Health routines don't need a full rebrand every year. Sometimes it's the small things you do every day, even when everything else is in chaos.
That sounds like one of the easiest things you can do to support your body every day.
I use this every single day, and you should too. By the way, AG1 now comes in original, citrus, berry, and tropical. My favorite is berry, but experiment with the flavors. They're all delicious.
Man, I have got to get my hands on some AG1. You know how I love anything tropical flavored, Fitz.
AG1 has over 50,000 verified 5-star reviews and comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. For a limited time only, go to drinkag1.com/FW to get a free AG1 flavor sampler, an AGZ sampler to try all the flavors, plus free vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription order. This is a limited time offer, only available while supplies last. That's drinkag1.com/FW. drinkag1.com/FW. I had two questions for you. I didn't want to interrupt earlier. One was Kirk and his dog there, or no? They weren't.
There were no dogs. Before the game? No dogs on the field. Tom was down there. Okay. I don't know. I've got a good shot for you. He had the what are the lenses that pick up the sun and the whole deal. So I actually have a great picture. He gives me a hug, and one lens is in the shade of the stadium. And there's a great shot, I'll send it to you, of like one lens is dark and the other one's completely clear because the sun's shining on his face in that moment. And I was like, well, this is the one time maybe these sunglasses don't look great because it looks like he has an eye patch on. But, he looks sharp as usual.
I don't want the picture.
You don't want it? I'm going to send it to you. God, no, you
All right, moving on.
You
Enough
see
about
it.
Tom.
Let me give you one tidbit about, or you said you had two questions. Was there another question?
Well, the second question was Sherm. So Sherm also got to fire up the crowd for the Mariners this year. So this has been a really big year for him. But do you think he would have been equally happy? Like, he was in such a good spot because he's also a Niners guy. You don't know.
He picked the week before he picked the Niners, right? Is that right?
He picked the Niners the week before. So now we're allowed to go back to Seattle because they're winning. Like, what are we doing? Sure, we got to make up our mind. We got to pick a team, I would think.
I saw somebody tweet him like, which hat are you going to have on or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's great.
That might have been funny. Me from my burner account.
Your burner account? That's good. That's good. No, Sherm was happy. I want to share this with you, though. I just sent a note to one of our other crew. So I thought this was really cool, Fitz. After the game, you're distraught. You're not, I'm sad for the guys. AD and I sat together. So him and his wife, Erica, were leaving. And I was just going to hang back and with Veronica and the family and everything. And you're in that mode of like, I'm with them. And I'm like, man, you know what? I'm going to make sure I hang back with them. I'm going to walk down with them because I just want to make sure people don't bother them, right? Like, you just won this game. You never know what these environments are going to be like. And I thought it was just really cool. And I want to tell you this because I was going to send this note to our crew. The whole way down, man, it's like, obviously I'm a Ram, I'm a Cincinnati Bengal. I've played for both those franchises. They mean a lot to me, and I know a lot of people identify you that way. But one of the coolest parts, Fitz, about this deal, as upset as everybody was, and even some of the family noticed it, every single fan on the way down that recognized me, it's like, that's Big Whit. He comes here with Sherm and the whole crew, like their family. Everyone's dabbing me up, giving me high fives, like patting me on the shoulder, like, what's up, Big Whit? And it was all related around Thursday Night Football and us being there and the scene and all that. And by the time we got down, one of the family members actually said, like, wow, that was like the nicest walk down we've ever had in a stadium. Just like in the sense of like how fans were and reacted to like seeing you first and identifying you not just as like a Ram or a Bengal or any of those things. They identified you first and foremost as like, oh, dude, that's the crew. Like, we love watching them. They come here for games. Cool. It was really neat to sit there and be like, man, that's awesome, dude. Like, because I know you and I share the same feeling of like, man, we want people to watch on Thursday nights, have a great time with us. And we hope that we kind of put off as like, we're those people that you want to be hanging out with you in your living room, having a beer, watching football with. Yeah. And that was really honestly how they greeted me the whole way down. And I thought that was like cool. It was a cool moment to kind of reflect a little bit. You're obviously upset about the game, but that was neat to kind of get that appreciation from people that they love our show so much and that we've started to become family to them. So, hey, Sherm, congrats. I can add to that, though. And they loved on us.
I can add to that. So in Aruba, Whit, I say right now there are a lot of New Yorkers that have come down to vacation in Aruba. So I've had a mixture, I've only been here for like 24 hours, a little less than 24 hours, a mixture of Jets fans and a lot of Bills fans. And so that has been really fun to interact with them. But just like you are saying, there's TNF fans down here too. And so I am not necessarily known as much for like being on the show and being part of a group. It's all about my chest hair. Every second of it. It's every single second is, dude, how's the chest? It doesn't look like TNF. I'm like on the beach, What are those letters?
God.
That doesn't say
great.
TNF. Yeah. Getting a couple like side eyes. I mean, obviously a ton of people that don't watch too, that are looking like, who is that guy? And is that natural? All the patches on his chest? So I've been getting a lot of that, and I sent all you guys a text earlier, just ruining a few of my GQ photos with some of this patchy chest hair work. So I do appreciate it. I'm always reminded of you guys as well. And now the TNF chest hair thing has taken on a life of its own, even in Aruba, which has been fun.
Dude, I had a great, you get just killed. You know what it's like when you're back in the locker room. So when you're back with the team, Fitz, you're around all that crew. Everybody's crushing each other. I go out with Dr. Elatrosh, our guy, and Reggie Scott and some of the front office folks with the Rams. So we go to dinner the first night, when we get in town. And we're sitting there, and the waitress is like kind of acting like she wants to say something the whole meal. And then finally at the end, she's like, listen, there's some fans in the back, and they want to come say hello. Is that okay? Like, they know who you are. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh, this is great. It's the Rams fans. And she goes, you're that commentator. And so the whole table just is like, oh, yeah, they just start dying laughing, killing me. He's not a Ram. He's just a commentator now.
He's a TV guy.
He's a TV guy. So I just get murdered in front of the whole Ram staff. So it was just, I got killed for it. But hey, you know what? The people love us. Nobody knows about my chest hair like you, but it's part of our identity. So it was a good weekend.
I'm here enjoying Aruba, and my phone starts blowing up as soon as I get back into an area where there was service, because we were over swimming in a natural pool with waves crashing over top of us, which was unbelievable. Liza and I are having the time of our life. We've got no kids. And then, we get to the top of the mountain, and my phone just starts going, voot, voot, voot. And I was like, oh no, what happened? Luckily, nothing happened with the kids. It was just Joe Brady and the Bills. But I have one
equally
question.
As important, I think.
Yeah, it was equally important for sure. But I've just got one thing that happened to Liza, and I just want to get your opinion on, if you don't mind. So we get to the beautiful St. Regis in Aruba, and this hotel is a year and 4 days old. It's beautiful, right on the beach, great views. Where they said, "Oh, we've got your room set up with 2 queens," and I said, "Huh? What? Excuse me? 2 queens? What? Do you have a king bed?" Well, they didn't have a king bed. Great, no problem. 2 queens. Well, without getting too graphic here, Whit, we go to bed last night, and Liza, I'm in the bed I think we're sleeping in, and she's in the other bed reading her book. And I'm like, are we sleeping in separate beds? Or now I have a few friends married for a while that sleep in separate beds. One's got a back issue. They started, and it turned into what would you do in that situation?
Well, I mean, without being too graphic, I think that there's my bed, which, is my bed, and that's probably where we hang out for a while. But she would definitely sleep in the other bed. Melissa would definitely sleep in the other bed. I can just tell you, my wife. We've actually done it at the American Century Tournament. We've had a couple years where that's the only thing we could get, and it's actually our favorite week of the year because it's she has her own bed. I mean, Melissa sleeps like a warthog, so I'm really happy I can actually sleep because I'm a light sleeper, and she's tossing and turning and everything else. So it was actually, we love it actually. And now it's if somebody would actually do it for us, we would never choose it. Neither one of us would ever offend the other and be like, we should get 2 beds. But if we can get a king, we get it. But if somebody actually did it for us, we'd both secretly be like, this is kind of awesome. This is great. This is actually perfect.
I don't think, because so we ended up sleeping in the same bed, but it was I don't think that it says, I think more than saying, oh, this is trouble, we're in separate beds, it's more, we're so comfortable with where we're at that it's totally fine.
100%.
It's totally fine for me to sleep in one and use. I'll have to keep you updated. I'm not going to FaceTime yet, but I'll keep you updated tonight on how it goes. But we've got the 2 queens, so Big Whit energy. I feel like you only have 4 teams to pick from. Did you find somebody this week? Or are you going with them special? You want me to see if I can find somebody in Aruba on the beach that we could pick? Or
Big Whit energy. I don't think we have any Big Whit energy this week, Fitz. I think that if you could find me somebody in Aruba that's got some Big Whit energy on the beach, that's what I'd love. If you could get us a pick, we want to see a fan in Aruba that's got some Big Whit energy this week.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find our beard of the week and Big Whit energy, hopefully.
I love it.
The same human being, and we'll just package him together. I'll get his name. We'll get a photo with him, probably shirtless. and we'll go from there. How's that?
I love it. Let's do it.
Whit, before we sign off here, got a text from Marcus. Marcus, thanks for listening. Thanks for always texting me. Broncos defensive pass coordinator, Jim Leonhard, is expected to be a leading candidate to become the next DC for the Buffalo Bills. I like that move. I like that move. I played against Jim Leonhard quite a bit. He's been college ranks, NFL ranks. We saw him this year multiple times in Denver. Do you know Jim at all or no?
I do know Jim. We have a pretty famous play when I was in Cincinnati and Buffalo. Me and Jimmy. We had a good run in. I'll send it to you so you can have a good time with him.
What do you mean? He's like 5'8", 180 pounds. Like, what do you mean you had a run in with Jim Leonhard? He wasn't playing in the box.
Have you ever heard the saying that when the train's coming, you need to clear out the tracks? You know. He unfortunately didn't get off the tracks when the train was coming through one time. So. When the big fella's running, you got to get out the way. And he thought he was, but he forgot I had 37-inch arms. So, unfortunately, he caught a little stiff arm. I was living my high school days. I thought I was playing tight end again. I gave him a good little stiff arm.
I went from feeling the fans' frustration to Joe Brady, just wanting to try something new, to talking to Brandon Beane, and now being like, gosh, he makes a lot of really good points. Excited to see what Joe Brady's going to do. Now we got the news of Jim Leonhard potentially being the DC.
I like
that a lot. I say we just hold on. We just hold on for a little bit. Let's see where Joe Brady takes us. But again, it's all going to come down to wins and losses next year. And if this doesn't work, it's not just going to be Joe Brady that loses his job, as we know.
We do know that, Fitz. Did you notice my shirt fits seats, by chance?
What? Little Hoppus?
Little Hoppus, baby.
Look at you, man. For those of you that don't know, Hoppus, if you're in the San Jose, now Santa Clara, San Francisco area for the Super Bowl, one of my best friends from college started Hoppus Brewery, and we are going to be out there doing a live show. He's got 4 different locations, but we'll put it out on Twitter and Instagram so you guys can check it out. But shout out to Brian Edwards. You brew some great beer, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
They're actually, I think I made mention of this. He's making and brewing right now the Fitz and Whit beer, a special beer for us, a little blend that's going to be pretty good. We'll have to try it when we get out there, Whit.
I'm in, baby. I can't wait.
All right. Until then, I'll be drinking some Balashis in Aruba, enjoying my time here. Baby. I will have to let you know next week if we slept in the same bed or separate beds.
We're
curious. Comfortable. We're comfortable with our marriage, Whit. We could go either way. We'll see. All right, that's it for us. Potentially, you're going to see us later in the week with a special guest, hopefully. And, of course, we'll be back next week with all the biggest news. Whit, excited about Super Bowl week in San Francisco. I'm sure I'll see you out there. We'll hang out a little bit.
Can't wait, brother.
Fitz and Whit is Fitz and Whit is a Wave original. Thanks to our production crew, and thanks again to all you beardos for tuning in. Now, we will see you next time in Papamiento, which is the native language of Aruba. Ayo!